akenshi biraterwa n'ibintu nka habiri by'ingenzi. Icyambere gikomeye ni ubukungu bw'igihugu cyacu bwakomeje kugenda neza, bwakomeje gutera imbere neza kandi.
Certain things determine this, and the first is the fact that our country's economy has continued to be stable and develop, and as this happens, more people make deposits in banks, which in turn are able to issue more loans and again have the ability to reduce interest rates because the profits come from the sheer numbers of the loans issued. Another thing that happened is the inflation rate that remained relatively low in markets. That helped those in the financial sector to reduce their interest rates. Also, when you look at BNR's monetary policy for the last 3 years, the repo rate has been steadily falling, from close to 6% to the current 4.5%. Our decision to do that was due to the state of the economy and to encourage commercial banks to issue more loans. All that combined gave the banks the sort of flexibility they needed to be able to reduce those interest rates. You asked about inflation. Well, when you look at the second quarter of this year, it went up by an average of 8.7% compared to 8.2% in the first quarter. Such a rise is usually caused by transportation costs that have also increased. In this case, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, with buses that were carrying, say, 30 people now carrying 15, and Rura forced to increase fares to make up for the difference. The transportation sector, therefore, has a big role it plays in inflation, because it accounts for 12% of a person's daily needs. Any change there will therefore have a ripple effect on inflation in general. And this year, that is what largely caused a slight spike in inflation. Last year, food products were to blame, but this time around it was transport. You also asked me about the Rwandan franc's performance against the dollar. Well, when you look at the first half of this year, its depreciation was not extreme because in July it was at 2.3% compared to 2.6% last year. The biggest contributing factor was a reduction in international trade during that period because of COVID, starting in January, because China had started to go into lockdown and people who were going there to buy goods wholesale could not. So for the entire 6 months, even before we went into total lockdown, international trade had already started to struggle, meaning demand for the dollar fell, and that in turn prevented its value from rising. And that is why the Rwandan franc did not lose as much of its value against it compared to last year. However, look at June onwards as economic activities resume and slowly go back into full swing. The depreciation rate begins to pick up again. And that applied for July as well as even now in August we're seeing the same thing. It certainly will not be too low. And we expect we will hit 4.5 or 4.7% by the end of this year, similar to what we had last year. But that all depends on the state of international trade.
N'ibice 1% cyangwa 5% mu mpera z'uyu mwaka niho tubona bishobora kuba bigeze, akenshi biterwa n'ubucuruzi mpuzamahanga uko waba umeze.